Bonjour, Kinamagi Nene Ireland Indishnikas coming live to you from inside the great halls of the Library of Congress. Today's video will be on the first read of our first support coach story, The Star. You will note that today's document has 2 pages. And I'm going to go in reverse order. Each lesson includes a section on vocabulary and context clues. And this is something that I would like you to kind of look at with your packet. Context clues are the words around an unfamiliar word that help you figure out its meaning. Read the sentences before and after the one that includes the unknown word. What clues to the meaning can you find? When you think you know the meaning of the word, reread the sentence and ask yourself whether it makes sense. So here's an example from The Star, this week's story. Rhodey was feeling insecure now that the balance had started to shift in a different direction, and he wasn't feeling so sure about himself anymore. If you do not know what the word insecure means, read the other words in the sentence. Underline the words that help you figure out the meaning of insecure. And I notice immediately that there is a spot that says feeling not, he wasn't feeling sure about himself. Sorry about the messiness of that. That kind of helps me understand this word insecure. So I would say Rhodey wasn't feeling so sure about himself anymore now that the balance has started to shift in a different direction. And that does make sense. Clear those drawings. And there are some others that you can look in the text: rival, accomplishments, and usurping. Make sure that it's, when you come across those words, look at the sentence before and after. You could choose to practice this on your paper or out loud with somebody near you. I'm going to scroll back up to our first read skill this week. These are the orange box skills: comparing and contrasting. When you compare and contrast, you look at how things are similar and different. You can compare and contrast parts of the same story by thinking about how the characters, settings, and events change from beginning to end. For example, a character may be selfish at the beginning of a story and then learn a lesson and become thoughtful at the end of the story. You could also compare how different characters react in a situation. Does one character have a positive attitude while another character has a negative one? Comparing and contrasting parts of a story will help you better understand and remember it. So let's try that skill. And I'm going to go back to my annotation tool here. And before I read this section, I'm going to look at what's down here. Think about the similarities and differences between the characters and settings in the text. Underline the clues about Rosalie and Becky that help you figure out how they are the same and different. Double underline clues about settings that you know how they are the same and different. So let's look here. First, about Rosalie. Rosalie stood at the door, hesitant to ring the bell. See that she's hesitant. She wished she had some of the confidence that her sister Becky had. So now we know that Becky is confident, especially in a place like this. It was unfamiliar and it made her uneasy. So we know Rosalie is also uneasy. She did not know anyone who lived there. In fact, she just didn't want to knock on strangers' doors. So she left and walked home, stopping only at the houses where she knew the owners. She was sure of herself in this neighborhood. Her cookie sales showed it too. So now about the setting. We have unfamiliar. Then we have this neighborhood. She knew the houses. She knew the owners. So really, we start to see that a picture of Rosalie is someone who's a little hesitant, not very confident, and when she doesn't know the places. And just by comparing and contrasting, we were able to put those things together. Now that you've read the first read document, I would like you to return to the post on the Google Classroom for the next direction. Have a mental Giza God.